Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect. You guys come on in. I'm a little bit early. I always put a time on there and then come about 10, 15 minutes early. But, some of you guys have been waiting. And this topic is about Bishop elect Marvin Winans. I wasn't even going to talk about him, but then I read one of the articles and his response to the lawsuit that was filed. And so now, Bishop elect Marvin Winans, you're going to have to come and approach the bench. Now, you're going to have to approach the bench, and we are going to follow the case regarding this building that all of us from Detroit have watched, and it's just become just like a fixture. I don't think after a while we really expected it to get built. We've been driving by that area for 18 years now. And yeah, we seen the pretty pictures and everything of the building that you were gonna have for perfecting and all of that good stuff. And it never came to pass. It's never come to pass. And now the city of Detroit has filed a lawsuit because I guess they are tired. They sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what I want to know. Is he still Bishop-elect, guys? Because it sounds like, just like with this building, there's some incompleteness going on here. Are you still Bishop-elect, or have you become the bishop yet? Y'all let me know, because I want to address him, appropriately if he has become just a bishop. But last time I checked, he was still Bishop-elect. There's some issues there with some completion, Bishop. You said, well, that's part of the thing. Literally 18 years, you have to look at it. When he first announced this, it was like 2003-ish when they did this big old press conference here in the city of Detroit. And yeah, they pretty much, you have to look at it. People have been born and became adults. And this same half-built building is sitting there with nothing. It's had tickets for blight. It's had all type of, it's not, I mean, it's in your face. It's not like you can avoid, it's not like it's in some obscure area or anything. It's literally on one of the main routes. And it's just sitting there with the pretty picture of what it's supposed to be. Yes, guys, please like and share. So Frankie said it's still Bishop-elect. Okay. Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for all the mods that are over here rocking with me today. I appreciate you guys. You guys were over here early as soon as I posted it. So if you guys saw the title in the quotes from Bishop Winans, Bishop-elect Marvin Winans, he seemed surprised when they filed this lawsuit. I'm like, sir, why are you surprised? This has been 18 years. Like, you've been warned, you've had tickets. Like, how do you say I'm shocked? Like, they came in the night, in the deep of the night. I think he said, like Nicodemus. So let's go over the article. But I do have the lawsuit as well. So we're gonna go over that lawsuit. But so I can tell you exactly what he said. And I was like, what? What? Why are you making it? So that's where the quote came. If you saw my thumbnail, it came from this article from Detroit Metro Times. And it says, the city of Detroit sued a pastor and his unfinished megachurch near Woodward Avenue and 7 Mile, saying the stalled development is a massive example of blight and misuse of land. In the lawsuit filed last week in Wayne County Circuit Court, the city is asking a judge to declare the property a, quote, nuisance and order celebrity pastor Marvin Winans to clean up the blight by April 3rd and finish the construction of Perfecting Church, which began 18 years ago. If Winans fails to accomplish both tasks, the city is urging the judge to transfer the property back to Detroit and allow the city to demolish the unfinished structure and sell the land. Okay. But look at what he said. He said, we are shocked and extremely disappointed that the city would take this course of action in the dark of the night, and in our opinion, not acting in good faith, said Winans, a member of the famed gospel group, the Winans. How did you really? How did you? How? Why are you so shocked? I don't. The only reason why you would be shocked is you just can't believe that the city of Detroit is doing this to you. Like, who, me? Like, they can do that to my neighbor, but they can't do that to me. Like, thank you. Do you think you're not supposed to be sued? You were like, it's not like you weren't warned. And we can look at other articles to show that you were like warned. It wasn't like you weren't warned. Let's go back to January because this is when I first heard about it, was like in January. And let me see. I'll go to that article. I'm just trying to give you some context where we pull up this complaint from the city of Detroit. And yes, they sued Perfecting and they sued Marvin Winans personally as well. So this, let me see. This was January 10th of 2023, and the headline says, Bishop, Detroit puts pressure on Winans to finally finish the 20-year perfecting church construction. The languishing Tyvek temple faces a public nuisance lawsuit, according to the letter from the city. So why are you shocked? Why are you so shocked when back in January it says you could be facing a lawsuit? Like, so that's why we're gonna follow this now. And we're because we don't understand why you so shocked. Like, what is it that you felt like you were immune from being sued and you had this building sitting here and you've had tickets allegedly, blight tickets that were unpaid because of it being such a nuisance, and you just shocked? Why are you so shocked? Yes, Tasha, we literally, I can get in my car right now and drive down Woodward and see and show you that building. I might actually video that tomorrow. And it's been there for years. Like, people will come and I'll take them like on tours of the city and we'll go past it. And I'm like, yeah, this is where perfecting is allegedly gonna be built one day. I mean, that's how you introduce it to people. Like, this is where the church is allegedly gonna be built one day, but he's been at the same building that he's had church at for years. He has never went to this building. So let's go to this lawsuit because you know how we do. We go get it from the source. So let's go back. So that, of course, we all know how these are just allegations. And let's go to the top of the complaint. So at the top, we see it's the city of Detroit versus Marvin Winans personally perfecting church, and then it has the actual location of the building. So when you start out the complaint, we all know they start out saying who all the parties were and why the court has jurisdiction and all that. So we're going to bypass that and go to the facts. So the facts, according to the city of Detroit, we'll start with paragraph 8. The subject properties are located in Detroit City Council District Number 2 and are located on a commercial corridor within the northwest section of Detroit on Woodward Avenue, north of 7 Mile Road. The defendants began a church construction project on said property in 2005, and said church construction project 18 years later is incomplete, abandoned, and a massive example of blight and misuse of land in the city of Detroit. That the drawings prepared by commercial builders and architects, defendants duly authorized representatives dated May 26, 2004, included 3 vital components for the finished church development: a 4,200 seat church, a 35,000 square foot administration building, and a 1,000 space parking structure. That subsequently, the Detroit City Council considered the sale of the city-owned subject property to the defendants on November 10th, 2004, with the expectation the subject properties would be fully developed pursuant to the drawings prepared by Commercial Buildings and Architects dated May 26, 2004. The city, the Detroit City Council then approved a zoning ordinance on November 23rd, 2004 for the subject properties area to be changed from B4, which is general business, and R2, two-family residential, to a planned development district hereinafter PD to allow the construction of the 4,200 seat church, a 35,000 square foot admin building, and 1,000 space parking structure. Yeah, that approval of rezoning by the city of Detroit was completed to facilitate the defendant's development of the subject property. The city of Detroit then sold the subject properties to co-defendant Perfecting Church for $13,000 via a quitclaim deed dated March 9, 2005. So you paid $13,000 for that land? Must be nice. $13,000 via a quitclaim deed. The first building permit procured by defendant from the City of Detroit Building Safety Engineering and Environmental Department, hereinafter BSEED, for the church construction project was issued on August 11th of 2005. So the first permit they got to start the construction project was issued August 11th of 2005. That no other building permits for the church construction project have been issued to defendants by plaintiffs since July 7, 2015. So you haven't got any more permits issued to you since July 7, 2015. That defendant failed to obtain a building permit inspection as to the church construction project pursuant to that permit, and said permit expired due to inactivity on or about April 24, 2019. So then your 2015 permit expired because it was inactive, like you wasn't doing that on April 24, 2019. The last trade permit procured by the defendant for the church construction project was issued January 9th, 2019 and expired on September 3rd, 2019. So they have all these, it was like 100 exhibits to this. So I'm not going to go over those. They're just permits and all of that. A special inspection was performed by City of Detroit representatives in July of 2022 as to the church construction project where the defendants failed the inspection. So they got a violation in July 2022. That plaintiff issued numerous correction orders due to the failure of defendants to maintain the structure on the subject property. That although defendants bought said properties from the plaintiff on March 9, 2005, to date, defendants have failed to complete the 4,200 seat church and have not started construction of the 35,000 square foot admin building and the 1,000 space parking structure featured in the defendant's drawings that were dated May 26, 2004. An exterior site inspection occurred on or about February 17, 2023, where it was observed that there was dilapidated temporary perimeter fencing, overgrown vegetation, and burrows indicating rodents and animal harborage. As of the date hereof, the plaintiff has not issued a certificate of occupancy to defendant, so the city hasn't even given them a certificate of occupancy, as the church construction project is incomplete, and further, the site does not meet the requirements of the defendant's drawings approved by the City of Detroit or the Detroit Code. As of the date hereof, the subject properties are a public nuisance. As of the date hereof, the subject properties remain blighted, unsafe, and or dangerous as a public nuisance and danger to the safety and welfare of the public based on the following factors. That on or about December 1st, 2016, inspections were completed at the subject properties by BSEED. Upon arriving at the subject properties, a BSEED inspector observed the vacant buildings had not been maintained in accordance with the applicable requirements of Detroit Code. Defendants failed to secure the required annual certificate of compliance from the City of Detroit pursuant to Detroit Code Section Y'all see the section. Defendants failed to maintain all buildings and or structure exterior walls in good repair pursuant to the Detroit Code. That on or about November 9th, 2017, inspections were completed at the subject properties. So y'all been inspecting this property every year, at least since 2016, and just what, saying we'll give you another chance? Like, why did it take so long? That on or about November 9th, 2017, inspections were completed at the subject properties by BC. Upon arriving at the subject properties, a BC inspector observed the vacant building had not been maintained in accordance with the applicable requirements of Detroit codes, including the failure to secure the required annual certificate of compliance. Basically the same stuff that happened in 2016 happened in 2017. So I'm going to spare you guys. Then on January 13, 2022, BC inspectors completed inspection of the exterior of the subject properties. Upon arriving at the subject properties, the BC inspector observed the vacant buildings had not been maintained in accordance with the applicable requirements of Detroit Code, including the failure to secure the certificate of vacant property registration. Sound like the same stuff. Noted failures include the maintenance of all necessary structures. So they had detached fences, garages, dumpster enclosures, and maintaining walls in sound condition pursuant to that Detroit Code. That on or about August 4th, 2022, exterior inspections were completed at the subject properties by BC upon arriving at the subject properties. So this was August 4th, 2022. Upon arriving at the subject properties, a BC inspector observed the vacant building had not been maintained in accordance with the applicable requirements of Detroit Code, including the failure to secure the required annual certificate of compliance. Ooh, what a shocker. That defendants were advised to call and make arrangements for your required interior inspection, yet to date failed to do so. So you were supposed to call and make arrangements, and you was like, "Nah, I passed." Plaintiff asserts that the current condition of the building at the subject properties warrants an immediate inspection because of the conditions discussed above. As of the date hereof, defendants has or have failed to repair the building at the subject properties in accordance with the Detroit Code. Defendants has or have failed to abate, correct, repair, or remove the public nuisance and blight at the subject property so that the debris is removed, the property maintenance violations are corrected, and the subject properties are brought into compliance with the Detroit Code governing property. So, Bishop-elect, you had no clue, like you're really shocked at this lawsuit. You should be shocked it took this long. That should be the only shocker here. Because had it been somebody else, like, come on. So, count one is common law public nuisance. The public has an interest in abatement of public nuisance affecting health, safety, the environment, danger to the public, and in the protection of public property right or interest. The subject properties are a blight on the residents of the city of Detroit. Subject properties and present an imminent threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the public. The condition of the property directly threatens the health, safety, and welfare of neighboring residents. Well, it didn't just start directly threatening the health, safety, and welfare of neighboring residents and those who must pass the property when using public sidewalks and streets. The subject properties constitute common law public nuisances. Upon information and belief, the condition of the subject properties are in plain view. Upon information and belief, we drive past it all the time. So the defendants are fully aware of the urgent need to abate each and every nuisance at the subject properties. Plaintiff is entitled to abatement of the common law nuisance created by or condoned by defendants as owners and or interest holders of the subject property. Count two is nuisance abatement. Defendants as owners and or interest holders of the subject properties have failed, neglected, and or refused to remedy the conditions that exist on the subject properties, and the current property conditions continue to threaten the health, safety, and welfare of the city of Detroit residents. Unless ordered by this honorable court, defendants as owners and or interest holders of the subject properties will continue to maintain this nuisance to the substantial and irreparable damage of the city of Detroit, its residents, and nearby residents of the subject properties. That this is demonstrated by defendant's failure to comply with plaintiff's hand-delivered demand letter to co-defendant Perfecting Church on January 6th, 2023. They said they hand-delivered a demand letter. So why are you shocked? Wherein the following items were requested and to date have not been provided or complied. A, the city of Detroit demanded a building status report containing the following items to be produced by February 13, 2023. 1, building status report of the project signed by a licensed structural engineer whose credentials could be verified by the plaintiff, a construction timeline to complete the project, a copy of the certificate of vacant property registration for the project from BC, evidence that all accessory structures are currently well maintained, including 9 detached fences, garages, dumpsters, enclosures, and walls, evidence the premises is free of excessive vegetation and overgrowth at the project, evidence that all required certificate of compliance has been secured, evidence that all rental properties owned by defendant have been registered, evidence that lead clearances for all rental properties have been obtained, the removal of all inoperable motor vehicles, evidence that certificate of compliance for all properties have been obtained, including rental properties, proof of ongoing maintenance of all walkways, driveways, sidewalks, and parking lots surrounding subject properties, proof that all premises are free of solid waste, proof that all premises are free of weeds, plants, growth, and unsightly dirt mounds. The city of Detroit demanded the following documents be produced by April 6th of 2023. Proof of financing from a financial institute for completion of Perfecting Church located at 19170 Woodward Avenue in Detroit, Michigan. Copy of current executed contract with an approval licensed architect. Proof of current executed contract with a qualified construction management firm. A construction management report with an attached timeline for church construction project completion, including milestones, appeals processes with BC and City Planning Commission. That to date, the recent submissions made by the defendants in response to the plaintiff's demand letter dated January 6th are grossly insufficient. Whoa. Okay, then they got another exhibit that pursuant to MCL section 600.2940, plaintiff is entitled to an order requiring defendants to abate the nuisance at defendant's sole expense, that subject properties are in violation of the Detroit Code, and the subject properties are in violation of the laws of the state of Michigan, including these are the laws, the statutes, MCL, and you see all those sections. The defendants are in violation of Detroit Code Chapter 8, which makes it unlawful for any owner or agent thereof to keep or maintain any building or structure or part thereof in an unsafe and dangerous condition. The city of Detroit is authorized to bring an action against the owner of the subject properties to make it safe. Count 3, personal liability of Marvin Winans as a corporate officer of Perfecting Church. That the defendant, Marvin Winans, is the resident agent and president of the co-defendant Perfecting Church. That at all times since 2004, defendant Winans had knowledge of the existence and or continuance of the nuisance on the subject properties or should have known of it by exercising ordinary diligence. That defendant Winans, by virtue of his position as the president of the co-defendant Perfecting Church, had the power to control corporate activities throughout the existence of this public nuisance. That despite having said power to control corporate activities, defendant Winans failed to abate the nuisance and any and all of co-defendants Perfecting Church activities that have caused said public nuisance. That despite having said power to control corporate activities, defendant Winans failed to orchestrate the completion of the church construction project. That defendant Marvin Winans is personally liable for said nuisance maintained by the co-defendant Perfecting Church. Ooh, my. Yes. Okay. Welcome all the new subscribers. Let me get to some of your chat and then we'll get to the last. I think that's the last count asking for a declaratory So yeah, this is pretty deep, right? So they've been trying, according to the allegations from the city, they've had several inspections. Why they decided to bring it in 2023? Maybe because it's been a change in who the corporation counsel is. We do have a new corporation counsel, which is the person that's over the city law department. So maybe that had something to do with it. But we have literally been driving past this eyesore forever. It's almost been 2 decades. I mean, when he announced it back in, I think it was 2003, he first announced the idea. And then we just went through all the timelines on permits and how they expired. And how are you shocked? How are you shocked? He's like, I am very appalled that they did this. What did he say? They came in the night and they filed this lawsuit. They came like Nicodemus, and they came and they just came in the middle of the night and they just filed this lawsuit. And I'm just shocked. I don't know why they would do this to me. Like, are you serious? You can't be serious. So yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Just a question, but does that sound like nah, I listen. I think let's stay on task here. You said, "Oh, definitely a change of the guard." Yeah, because this is crazy. So it was the Kwame Kilpatrick administration. It could have been. And see, there are major churches. You would say Ellis is a major figure. Of course, Marvin Winans, of course, Shear. Like, it's a lot of bigger churches, and a lot of them do have relationships with the city because they're such bigger churches. When it comes to political times, if you go to those prominent churches, you're gonna have people coming up trying to, get your support and come to the churches and all of that. So it's just how are you shocked that this piece of garbage has been sitting there for all these years? Like, how are you shocked that they're suing you? So that's why it's almost like, you can't be shocked because of the circumstances. Is you're shocked because of who you are? Is, I guess, my question. Yeah, Wayne T is another one. Yeah. So it's a few of them that's around here that have nice word of faith. Um there's a few of them around here, and a lot of them you'll see them around a lot of the political figures here. So but yeah, as you guys see, for all the ones that's just coming in, we just went over the complaint that was filed by the city of Detroit against Marvin Winans personally and perfecting for this property that has been sitting there for a while now. So this is what count for is declaratory judgment. And what they're asking for is that, in accordance with the laws of the state of Michigan, if defendants do not immediately abate and remove the nuisance, then plaintiff is entitled to a court order declaring the immediate cleanup, remediation, and abatement of the nuisance and blight at the subject properties, and a first priority judgment lien on the premises, or in the alternative, that the ownership of the subject properties be transferred to the plaintiff, which is the city of Detroit, free and clear of all liens, interests, and encumbrances. Straight gate is another one. Yeah, greater Emmanuel. That's what I said. Sheer greater Emmanuel. Um, yeah, so let's get back to the pleading. Um, Plaintiff seeks to have the interest of defendant subject to a first priority judgment lien for plaintiff to cover the costs, expenses, and fines related to the cleanup, removal of debris, and remediation of the subject properties, and a first priority personal judgment against defendants who are the fee simple title owners of the subject properties, or in the alternative, to have ownership of the subject properties transferred to plaintiff free and clear of all interest, liens, and encumbrances. Plaintiff seeks to have the honorable court declare the co-defendant, Marvin Winans, as personally liable for the continuation of any and all public nuisance of the subject properties. An actual case in controversy exists between and among the parties, and plaintiff seeks a judgment that requires defendants to immediately abate the nuisance at the subject properties by taking all necessary action to have the subject properties inspected by City of Detroit official for compliance and blight remediation. Count 5. Injunction and equitable relief. The defendants have allowed a nuisance, which is the building, to exist at the subject properties that are causing irreparable harm and immediate danger, and blight to exist, that there is a likelihood of success on the merits by plaintiff due to defendants' actions or omissions causing a nuisance and blight with and of the building of the subject property, that an equitable remedy is necessary to order defendants to abate the nuisance and blight, so that solely a legal remedy is not sufficient in the instant case, that plaintiff is entitled to the immediate abatement of the nuisance and blight and immediate remediation of buildings at the subject properties, so that it is no longer a danger to the community and the general health, safety, and welfare of the public, that defendant's failure to immediately abate, remove, and or remediate the nuisance and blight at the subject property shall result in the immediate appointment of a receiver to immediately take steps to demolish the building on the subject property, clean up the premises, remove the debris, asbestos, contaminants, all at the cost to be incurred by the defendants. So they said either y'all gonna do it or we gonna come in and do it, and we want you guys to pay for it if we have to do it. That defendants will be unjustly enriched by plaintiffs' cleanup and mitigation efforts to the subject properties without fully compensating the City of Detroit for the cleanup costs and or the redevelopment costs associated with the subject properties to be incurred by the City of Detroit and its residents due to the nuisance conditions at subject properties and expenses, so that if necessary, the appointment of a receiver in accordance with MCL section 600.2926, who is authorized to sell the subject property to cover the aforementioned costs and expenses related to the subject properties, including the costs and expenses of the receiver. Plaintiff respectfully requests, can't even get it out. Plaintiff respectfully requests the waiver of security in accordance with Michigan court rules, that as of the date hereof, defendants have not abated the public nuisance and blight in the subject properties. Attached herewith is Exhibit G, which is the correction orders. Exhibit H is the pictures of the subject properties that are dated February 17th, which are incorporated by reference in the complaint. Therefore, the plaintiff, City of Detroit, respectfully requests and seeks the following relief from the Honorable Court. A, declare the subject properties a public nuisance, abandoned, a blight and common law nuisance per se, and an unreasonable interference with a common right enjoyed by the general public by unreasonably refusing to develop said property pursuant to the PD and significantly causing economic deterioration of said properties as blight on the neighborhood located in Detroit City Council, Detroit District Number 2 at the northeast corner of Woodward and 7 Mile Road. Ordered defendants to immediately undertake the following action. Immediately abate all nuisance and immediately clean up the entire subject properties in accordance with the Detroit codes. Remove all debris at defendant's expense, and cooperate fully with the officials of the City of Detroit to ensure that remediation of the nuisance is in accordance with applicable environmental and other laws, ordinances, and regulations, including but not limited to clean up the buildings at the subject properties, removal of the blight, and backfill of the premises in the event that any foundation and basement flooding is removed from the premises. In the event defendants are unable to immediately abate the nuisance at the subject properties, to allow plaintiff to enter the subject properties to immediately eliminate the nuisances at the subject properties at the full cost and expense to the defendant. So either you do it or we do it and you pay for it. Or upon defendant's failure to abate the nuisance within the time specified by order, grant plaintiff such additional and further injunctive and equitable relief or money damages as necessary and appropriate in the circumstances, including but not limited to the issuance of a first priority judgment and lien and or monetary judgment against defendants and or transfer of ownership of the property to the City of Detroit, free and clear of all liens and encumbrances, and or appointment of a receiver to complete the aforementioned tasks, including the sale of the subject properties to cover all of the aforementioned expenses and the fees of the receiver, or transfer of title to the subject properties free and clear of all legal and equitable interest, liens, and encumbrances. Good goodness. To appoint a special master for discovery purposes and to make recommendations to this honorable court regarding discovery matters, facilitations, and or settlement. For defendants to pay all outstanding real property taxes to the city of Detroit or county of Wayne immediately or as said taxes become due. Pay all outstanding real property taxes. Cooperate fully with officials of the city of Detroit to ensure that remediation of the nuisance is in accordance with applicable criminal laws, public nuisance laws, environmental and other laws, ordinances, and regulations, including but not limited to abating the nuisance or the demolition and cleanup of the subject properties in accordance with the local ordinance of the city of Detroit and state of Michigan regulations and statutes. Provide that this honorable court shall retain jurisdiction until such time as this honorable court orders is fully complied with, and provide a building status report by April 3rd, 2023, with a commensurate timeline demonstrating said development, including the church will be completed within a reasonable time as contemplated by the PD that was enacted on November 23rd, 2004 by the Detroit City Council. Order defendants to provide proof of financing, demonstrating the plaintiff can complete the approved PD by April 3rd, 2023. Order defendants to provide proof of current executed contract with an approved licensed architect by April 3rd, 2023. Order defendants to provide proof of current executed contract with a qualified construction management firm by April 3rd, 2023. You got a lot to do by April 3rd, Bishop elect. Order defendants to provide proof of a construction management summary based on the BSR by April 3rd, 2023. Order defendants in the absence of demonstrating to this honorable court an immediate capacity to complete the PD to deed the property back to plaintiff city of Detroit. Whoa. Order defendant Winans is personally liable for the existence and continuation of any and all public nuisance on the subject properties. Such further relief as this honorable court deems appropriate. Wow, guys. So I guess the city of Detroit is not playing anymore with Bishop elect in this half-built building that we've been looking at. And I don't know why he's surprised. I need you guys to tell me what would you be surprised about? It's been how many years again? 18? But you're surprised still. Ray said he ain't got no members in commercial construction that can write up a contract real quick. April 3rd around the corner. That's 30 days away. Listen. He gonna say that. No, he said they came in the night. You seen the article? He said that they came. Let me read this article again. Let's go over this article, you guys. So it's a lot, ain't it? So let's start from the beginning because I just went to his quote. So this is the building for all of you guys that have never seen. You see how pretty that is? The little sign on the fence that's leaning over to the side. You see all of this at the bottom with the leaves and all of that look like hasn't all the trash all up against the fence. Looks like nobody has cleaned up that joint and I don't know how long. That is sitting there, and this is like the sanctuary portion. So it always looked like from the front, oh, that's gonna be nice. But then that's it. It's supposed to be the building is half complete. So there's no administration building, no parking, none of the stuff that it was supposed to be. And yeah. So this was the article that everyone was talking about. We went over the actual complaint. So it has the city of Detroit sued a pastor on his unfinished megachurch near Woodward Avenue and 7 Mile, saying the stalled development is a massive example of blight and misuse of land. In the lawsuit filed this week, we're gonna skip that because we just went over that. If Winans fails to accomplish both tasks, the city is urging the judge to transfer property back to Detroit and allow the city to demolish the unfinished structure and sell the land. According to the suit, the property is covered in overgrown vegetation and bound by dilapidated fencing and appears to be infested with rodents. The condition of the property directly threatens the health, safety, and welfare of neighboring residents and those who must pass the property when using public sidewalks and streets. And it's been doing that. So, okay, I'm gonna say it's because it's a change of who's over what. Because how all of a sudden 2023 come and you're like, oh, this is a problem. In a statement to Metro Times, Winans said the lawsuit was a surprise. We are shocked and extremely disappointed that the city would take this course of action in the dark of the night and, in our opinion, not acting in good faith, said Winans, a member of the famed group, the Winans. The city sold the land to the church for $13,000 in March 2005 with the expectation that it would be fully developed, the lawsuit states. At the time, church officials pledged to build a 4,200 seat church, 35,000 square foot admin building, and 1,000 square space parking structure. But the project has stalled and the church hasn't received any building permits since July 2015, according to the suit. During the inspection in July 2022, the city spotted numerous violations, which church officials have failed to sufficiently address, the city alleges. The property is a public nuisance and danger to the safety and welfare of the public. Winans countered that church officials addressed the violations. So Winans is saying that the church officials addressed the violations. He says, quote, Perfecting Church has been in constant discussion with the city of Detroit, and we believe we are up to date in addressing all matters of concern posed by the city, Winans said. The city is asking a judge to order the church to hire an architect and construction manager by April 4th and prove that it has the financing to complete the project. So Winans said he believes that they are up to snuff. So that's Winans' response to this lawsuit. I just can't believe he's like acting all shocked. But let's see, there was an article when all of this stuff started, like back in January. So again, this is another view of the building. Got the pretty picture on the gate, the fence. Winans Perfecting Church project under fresh scrutiny. January 10th of 2023. Perfecting Church's Star Cathedral project announced in 2003 is facing a city crackdown that could result in a public nuisance lawsuit. So why are you shocked? According to a letter from the city obtained exclusively by Axios, I don't know how to pronounce this, why it matters. The well-known unfinished church at the corner of Woodward Avenue and 7 Mile has impeded development at the prominent intersection. It's a waste of land. They could be doing something else with that. A resident, Craig Cobb, told Axios while waiting for the bus near the church yesterday, he suggested the property could be used for low-income housing. The big picture. The pressure on Perfecting Church and Pastor Marvin Winans, a member of famed gospel group the Winans, is part of a broader effort from the city to force prominent landowners to comply with this property maintenance law. So do we have an issue in Detroit of prominent landowners complying with the property maintenance laws? Huh? City of Detroit? In November, the city signed a property maintenance agreement to settle outstanding blight tickets and require future upkeep of nearly 2,000 parcels owned by the Marone family. What happened? The city's top lawyer, Conrad Mallett, sent a letter to the church Friday demanding a litany of inspection reports and financial records to shed light on the property's condition and development plans. What they're saying, we have reached a point where continued forgiveness of inaction is simply irresponsible, says Mallett. Axios attempts to reach Winans yesterday by phone and at his office at the church's East Side location and was unsuccessful. In 2003, Winans announced a grand vision for the 15-acre site, 70 condos, 165,000 square foot church, and 1,100 space parking deck with a $60 million price tag. Completion was expected in 3 years. Completion was expected in 3 years. So this was supposed to be done by what? But the building has been a vacant shell for over a decade, and the city only began working with the church last year to set new timelines to complete the project. Despite the effort and time, a pathway forward has not been identified, Mallett's letter reads. There have been no building permits issued for the project for the past 5 years, and all prior development proposals have expired. The city has also issued multiple violations that remain outstanding. The church has until January 23rd to begin new development agreement negotiations with the city. A building status report is due February 13th for the Woodward Church property and 105 surrounding residential properties owned by Perfecting. So this isn't just the church, this is also residential properties. Financial records and current contracts for the cathedral project with an architect and construction manager are due April 6th. Failure to meet the deadlines will likely result in the city of Detroit filing a lawsuit in the appropriate form, seeking all appropriate legal and equitable remedies. The letter said, but he still shot that they sued him. See, these submission needs to say I ain't got it. So it was another lawsuit as well. I mean, not another lawsuit, I'm sorry, another article. Don't get me to making this up. So it just threw me off when he said that he didn't know. I'm like, what you mean you didn't know? Let's see. Let's see what this article says. There's a whole lot of articles going on here. This might be similar. This was January 10th. We saw this one. Let's see. That's the same one. Oh, here it go. All right. Detroit pressures perfecting to jumpstart long delayed Woodward mega church project. So this was February 21st, 2022, which was before this lawsuit. Ambitious plans for a new mega church and multi-use development that Perfecting Church announced in 2003 for the Woodward Corridor inspired hope. The $60 million project, Pastor Marvin Winans said during a news conference at the Renaissance Center, would transfer a struggling neighborhood on the northeast corner of 7 Mile and Woodward. Plans included 70 townhouses and a 4-story admin building. A proposed 165,000 square foot church would seat the 4,000 strong congregation, which would include classrooms, a baptism pool large enough to accommodate a whole family, a bookstore, and 1,100 space parking deck, all on 15 acres. Plans at the time also called for the original Perfecting building at East Nevada and Van Dyke to be transformed into a performing arts theater. Construction would include within 3 years, church leaders said at the time, and Perfecting even called in Oprah Winfrey as a guest of honor for a fundraising gala. But nearly 20 years later, the project remains incomplete. For more than a decade, the building has been a vacant shell, though church officials insist interior work is ongoing. No ground has been broken on the residential development, and a boarded up, blighted garage along Woodward asked visitors to check in. However, that could soon change. City officials say they're ramping up pressure on Perfecting to complete the project, and church leaders say they're in the process of exploring finances. Financing. So you guys are in the process of exploring finances, hiring a new construction manager, and reviewing plans. In a statement to Deadline Detroit, Katrina Crowley, the city blight's remediation manager, wrote multiple city departments recently began meeting with representatives of Perfecting Church regarding the status of this project. The team has enrolled the church in a 14-day meeting rotation to address multiple issues and to structure timeliness, and expectations that will move the project forward to completion. The church also has committed to hiring a new construction manager in the next 2 weeks and to have an updated construction plan by the end of March. Perfecting General Manager Cindy Flowers, y'all remember Cindy Flowers, said that the church is optimistic it will complete the project, though she didn't immediately have a target date. We are building a beautiful church and it's going to add to our beautiful city, Flowers said. We wanted it in Detroit. It's going to make our city that much better. She def- she defended Perfecting against criticism that its progress has been slow, noting that it has so far self-funded 17 million in costs while also building a $350,000 transitional home for women in recent years. The building is about 65% complete, she added. What is remarkable is that as a church, we have been able to still be committed to our community by continually helping the undeserved and sustaining our ministry operations, Flower said. While some see it as a project not moving forward, they truly miss the big picture of what all we do as a church. While some see it as a project not moving forward, I guess we all missing the big picture. Okay, Miss Flowers. One observer and radio host still wonders what took so long for the city to step in. Me too. How did they get a pass for all these years? Duggan has been in office for 8 years. Has the building even been ticketed? Said Adolph Mongo, a political consultant and host of 910 AM. Detroit in Black and White, where several callers early this month sounded off on the long delayed project. Quote, it's an embarrassment. Any other city around Metro Detroit wouldn't allow this, end quote. In 2016, church leaders told WWJ they had run out of funds and were soliciting donations from their 4,000 member congregation. We had bank money a few years ago, and then some issues happened on Wall Street, and financial institutions froze funding for the churches around the county. Quite frankly, then construction manager Roy Chris said, and this beautiful congregation is building this church out of the collection plate. At the time, Winans told WWJ the new church would open in 2017. It didn't. But he was able to, around that time, take over a Toledo church that was left leaderless after two officials were charged with misconduct with the minor. Winans also secured the congregation a new building. They watching you, Bishop-elect. They're watching you. The Bloomfield Hills resident is also a nationally known Grammy Award-winning gospel singer. Though little appears to have changed at the Woodward site over the past 5 years, Flowers told Deadline Detroit that interior work is completed as money is raised. So they're doing it piece by piece, according to Miss Flowers. That approach has moved slow enough to attract the city's attention, but the apparently stalled project is only part of the concern. Perfecting or its nonprofit development arm have also been cited with dozens of blight violations at nearby properties. The city has issued about 50 tickets to church owned property since 2006, with the latest round issued in November for violations on a property on Nevada. A 2014 WXYZ investigation found one of the church's homes being used as a crack house. What? I should have read this article first before I brought it to you guys. Okay. A 2014 WXYZ investigation found one of the church's homes being used as a crack house on a block where families and children lived and played. City officials say the church has been responsive to citations and addressed the issues. All of its blight tickets have either been paid or dismissed by the city, records show. Flowers downplayed the violation, saying illegal dumping by others was to blame and that city inspectors simply caught the problem before the church could take care of it. Few violations were for dumping, however, far more were for failure to maintain a vacant building or structure or registration violations. Mongo, meanwhile, remains skeptical the project will ever be completed, noting the continuously shifting timelines. When they started breaking ground, people were babies. Now they're in high school, and that is the truth. Who knows if they'll ever get the money to finish, he said. So there we have, according to this article, allegedly why that it's not that they're trying to complete this project according to this article. Not Pam, but this article. They're trying to complete this article. They're trying to complete this project by using offering money. You said Cindy scented flowers. Oh my God, that's what they said, Renee. They said some of the properties. Oh Lord. I don't know. I just remember Cindy Flowers from when Marvin Winans had COVID and she came and she was kind of denying and she was all in the comments and stuff on was it Reed's? I think it was Larry Reed's show. Y'all got hey. So yeah, so if you guys are just coming in, please hit that like and that subscribe. We've heard about the whole Marvin Winans fiasco with the building, but we over here are giving you the actual information directly from the lawsuit, and then we've also coupled some of the articles. So we have a full picture of what has been going on with this property, and we just want to know, Bishop elect, why are you surprised? Because I don't see why you're surprised. It seems like you should have been like, oh, okay. You should have been like, I'll come pick it up. You said lawsuit, let me come snatch that for you. You don't even have to use the process server. I'm gonna let you save your couple dollars and I'm just gonna go pick that up. You said Larry did a one. Oh, okay. I have to look at it. Thank you guys so much for the cash apps and all of that good stuff you guys are blessing me with today. You say he's singing the question. No, that's what the city is saying. They're like, they want to know, when will this be built? When will you have at least come with some plans? They're like, can you show us some finances, some plans or something? Because it sounds like you don't even have finance. If you're doing it from your collection plate, then you're gonna have to do everything piecemeal. So now you have to come up and you have to find the financing, or they just want to. Sounds like the city's ready to take control of it and just bulldoze that joint. So you need a copy of the lawsuit. Okay. Just email me. So yeah, so this will be something else that we will be following. This is in my backyard. I was gonna leave you alone, Bishop Elect. I really was till I read that article and I was like shocked. I know you drive past there just as much as we drive past that half built building. Like what? Shocked. And it sounds like, according to the lawsuit, you've had plenty of notice. Like, what more notice did you need? And then to say, I didn't know it was supposed to be built in 3 years. So, according to the article, allegedly, it was supposed to be a 3-year project. How are we here almost 20 years later? You announced it in 2003. So it's literally, I don't think they tried to break ground or anything until 2005-ish. So that's the 18 years. But for 20 years, like nothing. Yeah, so Yes, welcome all. He said, let the church say amen. Now, the city has spoken. You guys are crazy. Yes, that's his wife. I don't know. That's not the same lady he married, is it? I don't think he married her. I think he married some other lady. I think he married some other lady. I don't think he married the Cindy Flowers chick. So, yep, you're welcome. I hope you guys have a thorough understanding of what's happening. And you know, we gonna be on it. And I know all these attorneys dang there that's on it too. We gonna be on it. So you said 20 years ago he could have paid for by every Sunday donation, but now you can't do that. People are struggling. Now that's true. It's a different. No, he didn't marry Scented. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think he married her. Yes, Daniel, he has 20 years. 20 years. And he doesn't understand why he's being sued. He feels like he was blindsided and they came like Nicodemus in the middle of the night. Oh, you guys are welcome. Thank you again for hanging out with me. You know, we'll be back about you know who on the next video, probably. So you guys enjoy, because you know my favorite show comes on today. That's why I had to come on a little bit earlier. Guilt or Innocence on A&E. That is a good show. So, anyways, you guys, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for the Cash App. TD, thank you so much for your Cash App. I appreciate it. And I love each and every one of you guys. Be safe, and I will talk to you next time.